morning. So it's all over the news this morning. The state banquet for President Trump took place at Windsor Castle last night, where Trump praised the relationship between the US and the UK and expressed his honour at being the first US president to receive an invitation for a second state visit to the UK. He does like to show off a bit, doesn't he, Nick?
He really does. I mean, this is a state visit that has trumped all the others, all the president's men, 1,500 soldiers out there, the biggest parade there has ever been seen. The king, the queen, the prince, the princess, the prime minister, Lady Victoria, all there, setting down. What intrigued me, just briefly, I'm sure your viewers are going to enjoy this. The starter was Hampshire watercress panna cotta. The main was organic Norfolk chicken ballotine wrapped in courgettes. And then it was followed with a vanilla ice cream bomb. This is a man who normally has burger and chips with a side order of chicken nuggets. So how that went down with him is a little bit worrying. But it does lead to what we do, pomp and pageantry. We must hope it is pomp and pageantry with a purpose, because we will hear of £150 billion. I'll say that again. £150 billion worth of contracts coming to this country. Yesterday was the pageantry day. Today is the business day. The president goes to Chequers, which is, of course, the prime minister's country residence, and they hammer out those deals. So I would argue that it's what we do best. It's very important, and we're getting those deals, and well done to everyone involved. It seems to have gone seamlessly. OK, well, let's take a look at that moment when Trump gave his speech. Shall we take a look at that?
But this is truly one of the highest honours of my life. Such respect for you and such respect for your country. His Majesty has also raised a remarkable son in His Royal Highness, Prince of Wales. Together we've done more good for humanity than any two countries in all of history. We're like two notes in one chord, each beautiful on its own, but really meant to be played together. The bond of kinship and identity between America and the United Kingdom is priceless and eternal.
The poetry in that.
More good for humanity than any other country.
Together, we've done more good for humanity than any two countries in all of history.
Two notes, beautiful on their own, but meant to be played in a chord together, actually.
I'm sure everyone is looking at the state of the world right now, especially in the US, and thinking he has done more for humanity, bringing people together than anyone else. Look, I really do understand that the UK needs America as an ally for trade, security, even more so post-Brexit when we've lost our biggest trading partner in Europe. I understand the need for diplomacy, and that for Donald Trump especially, charm matters, because he is famously transactional. He craves adoration. He's a narcissistic character. But putting on the biggest military welcome, the second state banquet, do we need to do all that for this man? And I think this shows, actually, that our diplomacy needs to feed the egos of powerful men. If I was a leader, which I'm not, but if I was a leader and my country was facing rising poverty, food bank usage, housing crisis, squeezed public services, I would not feel the need to show such pomp and pageantry. And I actually think this shows poor leadership. I think it's incredibly tone deaf, and I think it shows a gross mismatch of priorities in leadership, which is probably why the world is the way it is. And I totally take your point, Nick, on, yes, this is an amazing deal, but also it's not like the US just transfers this money into a UK bank account. You know, this is going to be talked about. We might not see the money for a long time. Hopefully it will put money in the pockets of people. You know, I know they're talking about, I think Nick can probably know more than me on this, but talking about that it could create lots of jobs in places like Hartlepool. But the big question is, who's going to end up getting that money? Is it going to be the people that need the money the most? But I don't want to do a disservice to the fact that this is an amazing deal at a really important time. I just think it's grotesque.
So, Nick, deal aside, Ashley's point is is it a bit tone deaf to be showing off like this when there's so many struggles happening around the country?
Absolutely not. And I think we can all give thanks that Ashley isn't a world leader, because we have enough problems in the planet as it is. This is a demonstration of the relationship. This is a demonstration of the relationship that we've had. And what he was referring to was the relationship that steered us through the First World War and steered us through the Second World War and ensured that there was liberty. To your point of the Prime Minister now, yes, you could take that rather narrow view that he should be just solely concentrating on food banks, NHS waiting lists. But I think he's probably a bright enough bloke that he can think about more than one thing at a time. And where you are right is, and you're absolutely right, Hartlepool, as you identified, that will be unlocked this year. Money will go into Hartlepool, which is an area of the country that has been deprived. It doesn't have great employment, but it will have better employment now. And literally, as of this morning, 8,000 jobs have been created. Not all in Hartlepool, I hasten to add. 8,000 additional jobs. So I hear what Ashley says. I think, respectfully, much as I like you, it's a little narrow-minded to say we should just be thinking about child poverty and whatever else in education standards. We can think about more things at once. I didn't say we should just be thinking about
that. I think it shows poor leadership that we have to put on so much pomp and gluttony to charm a fragile and self-serving man.
But is it about the office as well, though? He's the president of the United States. If you take aside that it's Donald Trump, actually that office is a hugely powerful and important office.
Leader of the free world.
Yeah, and like I said at the beginning, I totally understand the need to do this, and I totally understand the fact that, you know, Trump is someone that craves attention, and he was very flattered and very charmed, and I'm sure it'll work wonders. And I just think that I would love to see more leadership that cares more about people. And I also, as a woman, find it very difficult to see a man who bragged about grabbing him by the pussy being celebrated in such a ostentatious way.
Yeah, ostentatious. It's interesting because obviously, Nick, thoughts will turn towards... The Prime Minister wasn't there last night, but he has his time with Donald Trump today, doesn't he, over at Chequers, and what's going to happen there, and the cementing of that relationship, but also the opportunity for journalists to quiz the two of them together. So it could get a little bit more febrile, couldn't it?
Well, the elephant, you're absolutely right, the elephant in the room, of course, is Lord Mandelson, and this couldn't come at a worse time. Just to remind your viewers, Lord Mandelson was until very recently our man in Washington. He has to have been involved in doing the deal that they will be lauding today. There's no way that you get £150 billion, $205 billion worth without the ambassador in Washington knowing something, if not probably everything about it. So that will come up. The press conference will be sometime after lunch, and there are other thorny issues. It's not just Lord Mandelson. I know that Ashley, and I know that you, Ben and Kat, and I know your viewers, we all want peace in Ukraine. That is something that these two men need to discuss. We have the situation in the Middle East. Let's choose our words carefully. That is something where Donald Trump has huge influence, and it is something that many of Sir Keir's Labour MPs are hoping he goes in quite strong. So it is important. This man, suspend what you think about him personally. Just respect the office as the President of the United States. He has potential to bring about great peace deals if he's so motivated in the Middle East, in Ukraine, and, of course, business here. And watch that press conference and see who gets the first question in about the departure of Lord Mandelson.
What do you want to see over the next day or so, Ashley, from the Prime Minister and Donald Trump that you think that might shift your perception in some way?
I mean, I don't think anything's going to shift my perception. But what I'd love to see is, you know, peace in the Middle East, a ceasefire deal in the Middle East, Ukraine, exactly as you said. I think, you know, ultimately we want what's best for Britain and we want what's best for humanity. And so hopefully they can do that. And if it takes pomp and pageantry to get there, then let's see what happens.
What will Keir Starmer? I mean, if he looks back on Sunday morning, Nick, he's having his coffee and the president has gone, what's going to be the dream scenario for Keir Starmer come Sunday morning?
You've nailed it. It's how he handles the Mandelson issue in probably about 4 hours' time. That's what will be making him quite nervous. He's got his business deals. That's great. He's got to keep... There is a rump of his party who are, perfectly understandably, very pro-Palestinian, very anti-Trump. He's got to keep that under control as well. But I think the business deal is what looks good. And, of course, there is almost every weekend, as you know, Ben, there are popularity ratings. And these pictures, I mean, we're talking about it, it's the front page here in the United Kingdom. Earlier in the show, we went to the front pages of the United States, Australia. This is front page news globally. He'll want to know that there's a big pickup and possibly even talk about other global investment into the United Kingdom.
OK, let's move on. There's news of a new weight loss jab.
Another week, another jab.
It's true. A groundbreaking new type of weight loss jab is being trialled on humans for the first time. The drug supposedly targets fat storage rather than suppressing appetite, which in theory could mean that people could lose weight without actually having to diet. Dr. Zeri, I don't quite understand how this works and also how it could be healthy.
Yeah, so it's quite complicated. I think The thing to think about is obesity is a very complex disease. There are over 100 different causes, and the main cause is the environment we live in has changed, this obesogenic environment. But as an individual, whether you're susceptible to that environment, the number one reason why you might be is down to your genetics. So some people are genetically predisposed to obesity and some people less so. So these scientists have been looking at the genetic level. So our genes produce proteins, and what they've found in people who have obesity or fatty liver disease, there's one particular protein that they're using to target that they have more of. So this new treatment actually works by suppressing the amounts of that protein that are made. And so far, they've only tested it in mice. And in mice who are obese, they've found that with this treatment, even if they consume the same amount of calories, they actually are less likely to store fat. So the weight loss drugs we have at the moment work on appetite. You eat less. These drugs potentially mean that people could lose weight without eating less. So it's really interesting, and I think the fact that it works at the root cause, so treating people who have this genetic predisposition, is really interesting. It's years away from coming to market, if it ever does come to market. So phase 1 trials is when it's human trials, but it's small numbers to see if it's safe, if it's effective, and what the side effects are like. And if that's successful, it could be 5 to 10 years before we actually have access to it. But I think it just shows there's going to be loads of avenues, new avenues of drugs going into production, being tested, being trialled for obesity because of the success of the GLP-1s.
It sounds extraordinary, Zoe, but the idea that you can carry on eating as much as you like...
Or whatever you like as well.
Does that sound particularly healthy?
And I wouldn't say that it means you can carry on eating as much as you like. The way I would say is, take somebody who has never had issues with weight gain because of their genetics versus somebody who has their whole life. What it would mean is maybe this person can eat in a similar way to this person without gaining weight. It sort of levels the playing field. So in people who are producing too much of this protein because of their genetics, which tells their body to store fat, this drug could recode so they produce less of that protein, which tells their body to store fat. So it would never mean you could eat as much as you want, but it means you could probably eat a little bit more without your body having that higher tendency to want to store fat.
OK. I have a brother-in-law who can seemingly eat endlessly all day, every day, and he's still very slim and lean and has that sort of genetic makeup, that sort of thing. Go on, what do you think, Ash?
I think you're talking about it that if it was used in the correct way, this could be amazing for people who are really struggling with obesity. And, you know, I don't want to take away from anyone who these weight loss jabs have given so much confidence to. I think it's really sad that this is almost like the new Weight Watchers. It's become the new diet, weight loss injections in general. Because it's this obsession with skinniness, which, by the way, is not health. And as a society, we are obsessed with the idea that being smaller is healthier, and that is not the case. And it actually makes me feel really sad that my daughter might grow up in a world that she has to worry more about being skinny than being kind. And this is like, you know, we see everyone around us is shrinking, and, you know, I worry about the impact this has on people's body image, because skinniness is not health. And I know that there are, like, examples of people in which, sure, if it makes them happy, but it just really worries me where this is going. But also, I totally just forgot what my second point was.
It's interesting because you're talking about the physicality of it as well, but in terms of people's mental health too, they've got it here that the new figures have revealed that searches for full-length mirrors have skyrocketed by 399% in the past 3 months, which experts are dubbing the Monjaro mirror effect.
Have you bought a new mirror, Nick?
Well, I don't go for full length. I go for full width mirrors. This is a new line that I'm championing, and they are available on my website. No, all I want to ask Zoe is, clearly she knows all it. Will it cure my predilection for red wine? Can it do that, Zoe?
I suspect not, but it might mean that the huge, vast numbers of calories that are in red wine, less of them might go to your belly.
There you go.
So it could be positive. It could be positive. But it's interesting, though, isn't it? Because, as Zoe says, I think it's going to be the first of many that are going to come about.
We also don't know, like, the long-term health implications of doing this regularly, because you have to keep doing it to continue, don't you? And so I think that really worries me as well.
Let's turn our thoughts to one last story in this section. The Spice Girls are never far from my mind. There's a new.
Tell us what you want, what you really want.
I'm very. I want to zig-a-zig. I am very excited about the new documentary, the Victoria Beckham Posh Spice documentary, which is coming to Netflix. I think, do we have the trailer? Let's enjoy a little bit of the trailer.
People thought I was that miserable cow that never smiled. But I do. Don't be shocked.
Everybody's warning her, you will not be accepted.
Yeah, she has an ego. She's Victoria Beckham.
People thought she was a pop star. She's married to a footballer. Who does she think she is? It's taken so long to get to this point. I'm not going to let it slip through my fingers again.
You could make a cheese and ham toasted sandwich, we'd be proud of you.
Let's be honest, I couldn't actually make a cheese sandwich very well.
I love how she doesn't take herself too seriously.
I think that's the thing that I've always known. I've been lucky enough to meet them and interview her on a number of occasions. She is very down to earth, despite this image that she's projected.
Yes.
She's very down to earth and a really good laugh, actually.
I can't wait to watch this. I really enjoyed the previous Beckham documentary.
Yes.
And, I'm happy that people get to see like this side of Victoria Beckham. Because also she's so successful, and I think, you know, they touched on it then, the fact that she's had so many people not believing in her or judging her, and she's got to where she has. I think she's amazing.
She addresses claims that she's thought of as a miserable cow, Nick. The idea that there is a resting... We're calling it bored face. Everyone will understand why we have to change that word, because Ofcom don't like the actual word. Resting bored face is something that she's been accused of in the past, when it looks like someone's disinterested and not particularly happy, when actually they're just maybe concentrating on something different.
I am a tremendous, fully signed-up fan of the Beckhams. I've not met them many times as you, Ben. I've been in instances where Sir David has gone out of his way with children who've had certain needs or have had injuries or whatever, and he's stayed far longer than he needed. It wasn't just the photograph for the newspaper. He stayed, he's invested with the mum and dad. I don't know Victoria as well, I won't pretend, but I just effectively underscore everything you said. They're a great couple. I think they make a lot of money for the British economy. She's done very well. It possibly is because, for whatever reason, whether it's her children's weddings or David gets a gong or whatever, she never really breaks out in a smile. But if that's how she wants to be, let her be. So I say good luck to her, good luck to him. They're a real force. But what I've really enjoyed this week, Ben, is learning about your sort of cultural aspects, which is West Ham United and Spice Girls.
Exactly.
I mean, we've got you summed up, really, haven't we?
That sums him
I am
up.
British through and through. All the greatest things.
Come in half, red, white and blue.
Resting bored face, Ashley, is it something that you're ever accused of?
Well, I think most women and girls will be have experience of being told they need to smile more, even if it's just from a stranger walking down the street.
But have you ever seen a picture of you when you weren't necessarily bored, let's say, and thought, oh, goodness me, I look really, really like I'm not interested in what's being talked about?
Always, because, you know, we don't always walk down the street smiling. So, no, I think...
But it's not something that concerns you? Because you... What about you, Dealey? How's your resting bored face?
Well, as I've got older, my resting bored face is gradually dropping further.
It's a gravity-induced
thing. So I've got to, like, just edge it up a little bit, because gravity's working.
I actually found the other day I was naturally smiling, and then I saw someone that I really didn't like, so I had to take my smile away really quickly. So I wish that I had my
Was that when Nick came into the studio? That wasn't you coming into the studio, was it?
I wondered why I got
Nick,
that glare.
I
Now I know
always
what
give
it
you
is.
a smile, Nick.
Now I know.
We've actually
Get your smile ready, Ash.
Yes, we've got some live pictures of Donald Trump turning up at Chequers with there he is with the. Oh, he's leaving Windsor Castle with the King. Live pictures of it. I mean, I thought as well, Nick. I thought the King's speech last night was absolutely superb. I mean, he's grown into this role so beautifully, hasn't he?
Yes, and it would have been very carefully studied by number 10 as well, but the King has his own speechwriters, and I think you got it. He absolutely nailed it. He talked about the history that we have together. He talked about the kinship that we have together, exactly what we wanted to hear. Let's be honest, to Ashley's point, Donald Trump is not necessarily going to be the easiest audience to play with. You never know quite which. He can be a bit mercurial, but the King doing what clearly he learnt from his mother, who, remember, she was the monarch last time he came through, and that was flawless. He's done it again. We are very, very fortunate to have him in that position.
I wonder what the conversation conversation will be like around the kitchen table in Windsor now that they've gone?
The debrief.
The debrief.
The debrief over tea.
And poor Kate being put next to him.
Yeah, but if anyone can charm anybody, it's for sure.
There you go, that's it.
There
That is the President leaving Windsor Castle and heading off to the Prime Minister's weekend residence at Chequers. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Nick, you'll be joining us in the studio a little bit later on.
That's the car they bring you in, isn't
Yes,
it? That one I just saw there, Ben.
Yes.
The Beast. It's
I
on
have
its
to
way.
parade outside, yes. Thank you.
We'll see you shortly, Ashley.
hello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.